800 years ago, humanity was nearly wiped out due to an attack by demons. Through the prayers of the people, warrior gods called Idaten appeared to fight the demons. After they defeated the enemies, some of them had to make sacrifices to ensure that the sealing magic they had created was effective. For this reason, Rin was the only Idaten left to guard the seal and guide the new Idatens. Since then he started to train another Idaten named Hayato, and sometimes they travel the world using only their speed and running, hoping to meet those like them. Even though Rin was very strict in training, Hayato did not mind it because all he wanted was to get stronger. Since Hayato had already reached his training quota for that day, he decided to meet up with his friend and fellow Idaten, named Esli. He invited him to visit their other friend and an Idaten named Paula, but they interrupted her while she was playing with the birds. Paula just informed them of what her bird friends had seen, that there was a large group of people gathering in the north on a plain. Esli thought that those people were probably military personnel from the Zobel Empire, a weaponized industrial country. Hayato decided to go there to find out what the people from the Zobel Empire were doing, so Esli and Paula followed him. When they arrived in the said location, they decided to hide because there were many guards around the area. Esli thought that it would be better if Paula went near those people, so he gave her a device that could record anything wherever she goes. Paula successfully approached the head of the operation, Dr. Obami, who was talking to the general. Then she was shocked to see the demon Guido, who was the reason why Dr. Obami sent soldiers to watch the area. The general thought they would use the creature to conquer Hotina and Cerebel, but Dr. Obami was thinking on what the Idaten deities would do if this demon woke up. When Esli heard this, he wondered how Dr. Obami knew what happened 800 years ago, as well as about their ages and the name of the demon. That's why they started to think that Dr. Obami might also a survival demon who had been working for demons for 8 centuries. After a few moments, the demons suddenly woke up and immediately attacked Dr. Obami's location. Dr. Obami wondered why they were attacked because they believed there was no Idaten around the area. Since they could not see Paula, they did not know that the demon was targeting her. The military fired on the creature, causing them to be attacked by this demon. When the enemy was about to grab Paula again, Hayato and Esli took action to save her. After Dr. Obami saw the attack they made, he was sure they were Idaten. When the general appeared, Hayato told him to just stay under the block of ice and fight the cold, but this made him angry. As soon as Hayato got close to it, Guido attacked them. Esli tried to attack the demon but it did not work and the enemy's attack hurt him. Paula moved quickly to attack as well, but she was also defeated. Luckily, Esli was able to save her, and Dr. Obami was surprised as to why he was still alive even though he no longer had a heart. While they were hiding, Dr. Obami was unaware that Esli could hear everything he was saying. When Paula regained consciousness, Esli mentioned to her what he had noticed. Based on what Dr. Obami was saying, he seemed did not really know everything about them as Idaten. As for the demon, he admitted that he was strong, but still could not defeat Hayato, who had been training with Rin for 80 years. Hayato fought the demon again and this time, he defeated the enemy. Then he also pierced its chest, which caused the demon's death. Dr. Obami quickly left using a VTOL fighter jet with a speed of Mach 2. But the jet did not also survive from Hayato's speed and it fell after the Idaten destroyed one of its wings. Esli called the research team to go to their location and retrieve Guido's body before the Zobel Empire could get to them. When Hayato approached the fighter jet, he learned that Dr. Obami was actually a robot. He intended to take it to Esli for investigation, but Dr. Obami immediately activated the self-destruct. After they returned home, Esli suggested to Paula that she also undergo training with Rin because she is the strongest Idaten alive and the one who also trained Hayato and Prantia. He knew it is still dangerous for them to stay away from Rin and Hayato because it is certain that whoever the real Dr. Obami is, he is probably already investigating the data he gathered during the battle. They might suddenly be attacked by the enemy's stronger disciple, so it would be better if they stayed with Rin while she trained them. Paula thought that what Hayato and Rin did was just a normal training exercise, but when she saw it in person, she immediately felt scared. Esli had previously undergone training with Rin, but he chose to stop because he could not handle what they were doing. After Rin beat Hayato, that was when she felt Esli and Paula's presence. Esli knew that Rin was angry with him after his escape, so he just told her that he was going back to training. Rin was also very happy after hearing Esli's words and then asked who this woman he was with. She thought it was Esli who let her out, but Paula said it was Prantia. Usually, the Idatens are born by being pulled from a portal that suddenly appears, and the one who pulled them is responsible for serving as their master. This is why they also travel and explore the entire world. When Rin found out that Paula was also planning to train with him, she immediately started it. The force of her attack was so strong that it felt like Paula was about to take her breath. Then she also attacked Isli, who immediately fainted. The Zobel military front line led by General Piscalet started to execute an attack again. After his army advanced, one of his soldiers informed her that Dr. Obami was ordering her to return immediately. It was not a problem for her because she knew they would still win even if she left there. An enemy missile targeted her, but she simply blocked it with their tank and threw it at the enemy. Meanwhile, after they finished training, Hayato noticed that there seemed to be some kind of small device on Rin's skirt. He was planning to have Esli look at it, but Rin immediately destroyed it. When Paula's condition improved, Esli explained to her how they were born. They were created not just in the mind but also from the prayer of humanity for them to be saved. People pray during the war between people, and because of their prayers to God, they are formed. However, they could not do anything in this war because it's not their job to kill people. So the victims of war are also wondering if there really is a God. On the other hand, when Piscalet returned, she was joined by the captain of the Zobel Defense Force, named Nickel. Even though she was annoyed by his behavior, she just ignored it. The Zobel Empire Prime Minister does not understand why he was not included in the meeting. Instead, Emperor Takeshita and Empress Brandy simply assigned him to focus on the country's politics and diplomacy. When the two left, the Prime Minister assigned his ninja servant, named Kajakiki, to listen to the meeting. Dr. Obami arrived at the room where the meeting was to be held, but he only used a temporary robot to serve as his body. Kajakiki thought he would be unnoticed, but before the meeting began, Nickel took action to catch and immediately eliminate him. It turns out they are all demons who were given human form and intelligence by Dr. Obami, so they recognized him as the Demon Lord. At the beginning of their meeting, Dr. Obami showed the fight that happened between Hayato and Gyuto. Dr. Obami asked them which of them was certain to defeat Esli and Paula, and they all raised their hands. Even against Hayato, all raised their hands. However, if there were many opponents as strong as Hayato with the leader, only Nickel and Brandy were brave to fight their enemies. Since Hayato's group already know a lot about the demons, they need to make sure to eliminate them first. Using the transmitter that Dr. Obami placed on Hayato before he self-destructed, they will know their enemy's location. Little did he know that Esli noticed it right away and took it to put on Rin. Esli knew that the enemies would attack at any time, and if this happens, Rin will definitely be their opponent. Dr. Obami thought of sending the strongest of them, who was Nickel, to ensure their victory. Paula is worried about Rin, but Esli is confident that Rin will never lose. After a few hours, they started training again, and even though they were attacking Rin at the same time, they still could not do even the slightest damage to her. When they were defeated, Nickel suddenly came to carry out his mission. Paula immediately felt afraid of him because he seemed like a big demon disguised as a human. Hayato approached Nickel, but he was suddenly attacked. Fortunately, Hayato managed to retaliate. He tried to attack again, but Nickel just toyed with him. This was the moment when Rin acted, and Nickel was surprised after being hit by her punch. Hayato still wanted to fight Nickel, so Rin put him to sleep to stop him. She also instructed Esli to take Hayato and Paula away. Nickel suddenly attacked, but because Rin was so fast, he could not keep up. Rin just toyed with him until he decided to use one of his strongest attacks. But it still did not work on her, so he just got beaten up again. Nickel took advantage of this opportunity to cut off Rin's fingers. He thought he would be able to defeat her, but he was surprised when her finger quickly regenerated. They continued to exchange attacks, while Esli chose to position himself where he could easily see them. Because of this, Nickel's companion, known as G13, was unable to attack them. Nickel managed to hit Rin's neck, but it still was not enough. Before they continued, Rin took the opportunity to ask Nickel what he really was. Nickel did not hesitate to tell Rin that he was a demon. Rin was wondering because in 800 years, this was the first time she had seen a demon that looks human, intelligent, and could talk. Nickel said that it was because of their demon lord, they call Overthrowing. Esli knew that this Overthrowing was Dr. Obami, but he did not believe that he was a demon lord and that he might have just given the demons false memories so that he could easily control them. Since Nickel had already admitted that he was a demon, Rin had a reason to completely eliminate him, so she pulled out her sword. Nickel thought of a way to attack Rin, but when he did it, he was surprised to find that he could not move anymore. Rin told Esli to come closer because she knew that her fight with Nickel was over. Nickel thought he was just paralyzed so he could not move, but it turned out that Rin did even worse to him because she cut off his head. G13 immediately informed his other colleagues, but it turned out that Rin already felt his presence. Because of this, he also did not survive her attack. Piscalet thought about sending Brandy too, but Brandy immediately refused out of fear. Esli had a strong feeling that Nickel was the strongest warrior in the Zobel Empire, so he thought that no one could defeat Rin. When Hayato regained consciousness, he was very angry with Rin, but she just put him back to sleep. Leslie called the research department. Having successfully captured Yuto, he now plans to bring Nickel's head to the facility to be experimented on as well. Then he also called Prontia to let her know that he would be meeting her. After Dr. Obami found out what happened to Nickel and G13, they were worried about what to do next. Since the transmitter that Dr. Obami placed on Nickel was no longer working, he realized that Esli probably already knew about the transmitter from the beginning. He admitted that they will have a hard time, but they need to continue the plan against Hayato's group because they will surely become stronger in the future. He assigned Piscalet, Nepet, and Cory to carry out the mission of eliminating their enemies. They will use human troops because he knows that the Idaten will not attack humans. But what they do not know is that Rin does not care even if they use humans as their shield. Rin wants to know where the Zobel Empire is located because she is desperate to destroy the demons who are hiding there. Esli suggested that it might be better if they asked Prontia for help first. Even though Esli knew that Prontia was currently in Hutina, he did not tell Rin and instead asked for a week to pretend to be looking for Prontia. When Hayato woke up again, he immediately attacked Rin. Because he really wanted to fight with Rin, she accepted this challenge. But just a few seconds later, Rin put him to sleep again. When Piscalet started to move, Rin also tried to approach the ships but no one noticed her, so she thought that only ordinary people were on board. After she returned to the island, Piscalet began to wonder why Rin was the only one who could be seen in the area. It turns out that the other Idaten are already underwater, and they will pass through there until they reach Hutina. The soldiers were able to locate G13's body but they were unable to find Nickel's body. Piscalet became suspicious, so she immediately called Dr. Obami. She had a strong feeling that Nickel was being experimented on by the enemy to find out their secret. This just means they have to go to the Hutina. Esli and his companions arrived in Hutina and were immediately met by Prontia. Prontia saw Nickel's head and thought they had something new to dissect. When they entered the city, Hayato woke up and immediately looked for Rin. Prontia asked who was this person whom Hayato was calling Old Hag. Meanwhile, Piscalet and her companions arrived there quickly, and because there are many people in the city, they asked for help from Dr. Obami to track their enemies down. Prontia brought his visitors in the room where he was working. Hayato still did not stop looking for Rin, so Esli told Prontia whom he was looking for. After hearing the name of this person, Prontia immediately panicked because he was so afraid of Rin. This is the reason why Esli does not want to tell Rin that Prontia is in Hutina because he definitely would not show up to Rin. When Prontia calmed down, Esli suggested to Hayato to practice with Prontia for a while. Then he left to take Nickel's head to the research facility. He knew that the demons would notice when Hayato and Prontia fought, and this would be their chance to capture a living demon. But Brandy and her companions spotted him, so they immediately assigned Piscalet to follow him. Meanwhile, Hayato and Prontia went to a place far away from people and there they conducted their training. Prontia took advantage of this opportunity to use her new magic, but it was not enough to cause serious damage to Hayato. When it was Hayato's turn to attack, Prantia created magic that he used against his opponent. Prantia saw that Hayato lacked an ability, and this was probably the reason why Esli brought him to be trained. Esli soon arrived at the research facility, and he spoke with Dr. Gachikama. He also took advantage of this opportunity to ask if he knew Dr. Obami from the Zobel Empire. Dr. Gachikama recognized this person immediately and knew about its cloning and research into strange organisms. Esli thought that the demons were really trying to find a way to multiply. Suddenly, a doctor called him because there was a problem. But it turns out that Piscalet forced the doctor to do it, so she could lock him in a room and have the two of them face each other in a fight. Esli immediately used his power to turn off the lights, causing Piscalet to lose her vision. Because of this, Piscalet was forced to open the door immediately. While Prantia was teaching Hayato, someone suddenly attacked them. It turned out to be Nepet and Kori, but they had no idea that Prantia had just caught the big rock with his head. Prantia thought about leaving Kori to Hayato and he would take care of Nepet. Kori immediately transforms into his demon form to swallow them, so Hayato immediately pushed Paula away. Paula tried to save Hayato, and that was when she found out that Kori could not see. So she just kicked his balls, causing the demon to spit out Hayato. So Hayato did not miss this opportunity to get revenge. On the other hand, Piscalet did not expect what Esli would do to temporarily lose her vision. Esli took advantage of this opportunity to talk to Piscalet and told her that he knew what they were planning for them. Although he admitted that Piscalet could possibly kill him, he was sure that Prantia would also eliminate Nepet and Kori. And Esli was right, because Prantia just played with his enemies. While Esli continued talking to his opponent, Piscalet was preparing her attack. But Esli threw a flash bomb again, and this time Piscalet did not expect that it torn her clothes off. She was so angry that she used the attack she had prepared, but Esli knew about it. Esli threw a flash bomb again, and this is when Piscalet smelled the poison gas. Poison usually does not work on demons, but because she has the brain of a human, she could not escape its effects. Her intelligence is also one of the reasons why she lost in the fight. If she only had the brain of a normal demon, she might have killed him already. In Esli's desire to experiment on a demon like Piscalet, he took this opportunity. While Prantia was watching the fight between Hayato and Kori, he saw the lack of weight in Hayato's punches. He took out a sword and lent it to Paula to attack Kori. Paula tried it right away, but she could not hit Kori. Then Prantia told her to lend Hayato the sword, but Hayato did not want to use it and preferred the normal method. He continued his fight with Kori, and after a few hours, he successfully defeated him. Their enemies were also taken to Esli's laboratory, and he had just finished working on Piscalet's brain, so he took the other demons to be experimented. After that, Piscalet told Prantia about the remaining demons and what they were doing in Zobel. Esli wanted them to pretend they had succeeded in their mission, but he said they could not do it because of Miku. Although she is weak in combat, its observation skills are on another level. She will immediately know that something is done in their brain, even if it only sees them for a few seconds. While the Zobel Empire continued to watch Rin, the Emperor decided to summon Miku. Miku observed Rin, and after a few minutes, she gave an order to the other ship, causing Rin to react. Since the Emperor wanted to know the reason, Miku said that it would be best for them to talk outside. Based on Miku's observations, Rin was ready to wipe out their entire army surrounding the island, but what she did was to make it difficult for Rin to do so from where she was standing. Rin did not leave her position, so she thought that she might be protecting someone. Suddenly, Dr. Obami arrived after his new body was completely restored. After Mika told him about her observation of Rin, she immediately thought of the former demons that were sealed in the island. But even if Mika's suspicions are true, they still cannot just rush in because they do not know how to break the seal, and besides, they will have a hard time fighting Rin. Dr. Obami said that it would only be an obstacle to their plan if the unintelligent demons returned, because those do not know who are their enemy and ally. Mika wondered how Dr. Obami even knew the name of the Idaten woman on the island. Meanwhile, Piscalet is explaining who Dr. Obami really is. Based on what he mentioned, Esli had an idea of what Dr. Obami's true identity. Paula suddenly expressed her suspicion that Dr. Obami might also be an Idaten. But Esli disagreed with her because Dr. Obami did not know other information about the Idaten. Then he suggested that they take a break first and invited Prantia because he wanted to talk about something. Because Hayato wanted to practice, he was told to fight against Prantia and her companions. Before they left, Esli confirmed something with Piscalet and his suspicions were confirmed. Prantia did not expect that Esli would suggest to take a break first, so Esli said that he understood everything and that he knew who this Dr. Obami was. Prantia showed the model he created where demons were imprisoned and placed cockroaches as model for demons. Esli knows that if someone breaks the seal, he is sure that the demons will end up like the cockroaches and will be dead. They will starve and will not even last a year. So even if they were destroyed, they would not help Dr. Obami. Based on his analysis, Dr. Obami may be an Idaten after he confirmed to Piscalet that he hacked all the cameras across the country. Only Idaten can hack cameras without the need for the internet. He explained that he was possibly created from the seal demon's desperation and the 3 elders who sacrificed themselves where he got his knowledge. Even though his memory is not good, the characteristics of a demon lord can still be seen in him. Prantia asked if they would eliminate Obami because they already knew where to find him, but Esli replied that it is not yet the time. They do not know how strong a mixture of an adult and a demon is, so it would be better if they leave him alone until they devise a good plan. Miku also started asking Dr. Obami what he really was. But he did not answer his question because even he did not know what to say. While Hayato was in training, he could not hurt Piscalet anyway. This is when he realized how weak he was. Prantia suddenly came there because he knew what Hayato really needs. He took out a scale and asked Paula to try to weigh herself. Paula followed the instruction, then Prantia explained why Hayato's punches were weak. Hayato tried it too, but he could not change his weight. To make him learn this, Prantia threw a large rock at him. Esli also came because he was worried, so he wanted to know whether the training has an effect on Hayato. Prantia thought that if it did not work, he would just train Hayato for a longer period of time because they would be fighting a demon lord. To see if changing the weight had any effect, Paula tried it on Nepet. After a while, Hayato got annoyed and wanted to just fight. He challenged Piscalet, so Piscalet thought that nothing had changed anyway with Hayato's punch. But when Hayato attacked, he managed to knock Piscalet down, which surprised them all. The next one he challenged was Nepet, so they could say that what he did earlier was not just a pure luck. Nepet can already feel the weight of his punches, and even in his demon form Hayato also managed to knock him down. He wanted to fight Piscalet and the others at the same time, but Prantia decided that he would be the one to fight him. Hayato tried again what he did earlier, but it did not work on Prantia. After Prantia's attack on Hayato, Piscalet was still scared of him even though they were no longer enemies. Since it was time for them to report to the Emperor, Piscalet decided it would be best for them to keep quiet because Miku would also know if they were lying. Dr. Obami has not been able to contact them, so they thought they had lost in the fight. Brandy was reminded by Dr. Obami that she was their strongest defense in case the Idaten attacked. Because of this, Brandy talked to her 3 children named Kuraishi, Riki, and Buzz, to tell them to leave Zobel. They were told that they can bring any demon they want when they leave. Brandy wanted to save them so that their race would not be wiped out, and she was thinking that Nepet and others might have been defeated by their enemies who probably know what they are up to. After they left, they each went their separate ways to find their companions. Kuraishi chose Ferlandia and Buzz chose Miliano, while Riki chose their butler, named Croft. Hayato and Prantia continued their training, so Esli invited Paula to join him in Cerebel. They immediately set off and even caught up with the 3rd Holy Pontiff of Cerebel, named Sajishi, who was lecturing his subjects on the sins of Zobel and Hotina against God. Then they learned that these people worshipped Prantia. When they were attacked by them using guns, Esli told Paula to execute what they had planned. Paula took advantage of the bazooka being aimed at her to make her wing appear. But Sajishi did not immediately believe her, and when he shot Paula, they realized that she was indeed a god. They immediately knelt down to her, so they were able to have a meeting. One of the church members still refused to believe them, so Esli showed his power. Before they started, Paula asked what Prantia's connection to Cerebel. Sajishi tells the story of the day Prantia first came to their country. Long ago, their country was almost uninhabitable due to the various types of disasters they experienced. But when their god Prantia arrived, that was when their country gradually changed. Before he left, he gave them some advice, which they followed. After he told his story, Esli told them their purpose in visiting the country. He said that they will attack the Zobel Empire that day, and they will just make it look like a military coup d'état to the people. Through this, Sarabil and Hotina will remain powerful. But after the coup d'état, Sarabil and Hotina will help the Zobel Empire rebuild, and this will also result in peace among the three countries. At first, the people of Sarabil were reluctant to cooperate with Hotina, but Esli reminded them that they would be the only ones who would suffer in the end if they remained stubborn. Because of their self-interest, they will only look bad in the eyes of other people, and the gods do not actually care if this happens. They do not want people in the nature to die, so they are hoping for them to just cooperate. After their conversation, the people of Sarabil decided to follow Esli's wishes. As Hayato and Prantia continued their training, they all noticed how quickly Hayato was improving. Prantia could not believe that Hayato had become so strong in just one day. A short while later, Esli and Paula arrived to inform Prantia of the results of their journey, and that they could now carry out the attack on the Zobel Empire. On the other hand, while Yumio was busy helping in the birthing clinic, Miku visited them. Miku wants to talk to Yumio about the plan she's thinking about. Esli and others met with Rin, and Prantia was clearly still afraid of Rin. When Dr. Obami saw another Idaten, they immediately talked to Miku. But it turns out that Miku was no longer there, and just left someone else in her place so her escape would not be noticed. The woman gave them the letter she had left behind, stating her observation that it was truly the end for them, which is why she had run away first. Yumio was with them so they have a chance to multiply their race. She also warned them that if they saw any new Idaten, it would be a signal that the enemies were about to attack the Zobel Empire. When the alarm rang, Miku and her companions quickly ran away because it only meant that her letter had been opened and the Idaten would surely attack soon. After Dr. Obami informed Brandy that Miku had run away, they also learned about Prantia's destruction of the roads in and out of Zobel. At that time, Miku's group was so grateful that they were not hit by that attack. Brandy also told Dr. Obami that she had also let her children escape. And they have no choice but to face the Idaten. When they saw that Zobel Kingdom, Rin immediately used her sword. The buildings were destroyed. Piscala took advantage of this opportunity to announce their revolt. She ordered those who wanted to survive to immediately head to the northern part of the coast. As for those who choose not to comply, they have to prepare for their death. After they entered the Zobel, a demon tried to fight but Rin quickly killed him. Esli and others were not far away, just observing what was happening in Zobel. They saw a demon trying to escape, so Prantia shot it. It was Prantia's job to find the other demons, and with Piscala's help, they got photos of them except for Miku, Barcode and Yumio. The demons tried to stop Hayato and Rin, and from what Hayato was showing, Rin also noticed that he became stronger. They decided to split up to speed up their search on the demons. The demons they had just defeated rose again, so Rin was surprised. So she beheaded them but was shocked to find that they were still alive. Turns out they are just puppets being controlled by Brandy's strings. Hayato went to the female prisoners of war camp where a nun named Gil was imprisoned. He released them, and they were surprised by Hayato's strength. Emperor Takeshita suddenly arrived, and he was assigned to defeat Hayato. The girls wondered why an emperor was there, then they learned that Hayato was a god. Hayato immediately attacked Takeshita and their fight began. Even though Hayato was so fast, Takeshita still managed to grab and injure him. Hayato did not give up and their fight continued. Gil decided to stay where she was because she wanted to witness the fight between the emperor and Hayato. When Hayato rushed in again, Takeshita got him again. But he managed to break the emperor's hand, making it unbelievable that Hayato was still able to move properly despite the damage on his body. They charged at each other again and this time, Hayato successfully defeated Takeshita. Because Rin was already fed up with the puppets, she used her sword again which surprised Brandy because of the severe damage it caused. Although Brandy has admitted that she cannot really win, she will do everything she can to delay Rin. She used another puppet that would serve as the one to control over the other puppets. While Prantia and Piscalet were looking for Miku, they saw someone similar to her. Piscalet immediately thought that it was a decoy and that she probably knew where the real Miku was. Because of this, Prantia decided to take the girl for questioning. After Brandy's annoying puppet attacks, Rin decided to gather all the strings. Brandy could not escape from this, causing her to be caught too. When Hayato confirmed that he had defeated Takeshita, he left immediately and did not bother to end its life. Takeshita took the switch for the nuclear missile because Dr. Obami's plan was to blow up the entire city, including them. But he did not do it because he believed that everything was not over yet. Gil approached to hopefully help him get to the hospital. The nun believed that he is not really that bad after noticing that he is also doing everything he can to keep the prisoners from getting involved in the fighting. Before he lost his life, he advised Gil to go to Hotina because there might be no peace for the people of Zobel. When Takeshita passed away, Gil was very sad because she could do nothing but pray. But she did not only need prayer because she wanted to have power so she can save those in need. Due to the severe injuries that Hayato sustained, this caused him to weaken. He noticed what looked like a portal ahead and forced himself to approach it. It turns out that the 3 criteria for the release of the Idaten have been completed in Zobel. So when Hayato touched the portal, he pulled another Idaten and it was Gil because she had the greatest contribution as the source of knowledge. Hayato was surprised by this and thought Gil was just joking that she did not recognize him. Suddenly, a demon attacked, so Gil moved quickly to get away from the enemy. Rin tries to ask Brandy where their demon lord is, but Brandy refused to tell her. Dr. Obami suddenly showed up to talk to Rin. Rin was surprised that he knew her name and whose sword she was holding. Dr. Obami said that he could still remember many things, even from the times when Rin was young. When Prantia spoke to Miku's decoy, they also did not get any information because she did not know where Miku was either. They just thought that Miku had escaped a while ago. After Nepet caught Barcode and the Prime Minister, Prantia took Barcode and brought to Esli. Suddenly, they saw Hayato approaching them, so they were surprised. Prantia decided to go there and they found out that there was a new Idaten. After Gil introduced herself to him, Prantia immediately left to return to Zobel. He saw Gil which surprised him, so he approached her. He was confused that Gil looked similar to the Idaten earlier and even had the same name. When a demon was about to attack them, Prantia preceded it. But because of what he did to the demon, Gil just got angry with him. He does not understand what she really wants even though he did that so he could save her from certain death. He decided to put her to sleep for now so she would not be hurt by what was happening around them. Because of what Dr. Obami said in his actions, Rin immediately remembered her grandfather. She dropped her sword, so Brandy took advantage of this opportunity to pick up the sword and attack Rin. The sword's immense power surprised Brandy and even Dr. Obami disappeared after this. When she was about to attack Rin again, Rin quickly grabbed her and decided to end her life. Then she cried because she missed her grandfather so much. 6 hours later, Piscalet and Cory helped in the fight. Hayato returned again and Barcode replaced Piscalet, allowing them to track down other demons. They exhausted them and were successful in overthrowing the Zobel Empire. A week later, Rin was still crying. But what surprised Gil even more was how quickly her body regenerated. She wanted to undergo training with Rin as well, and because of what she said, her desire was almost similar to Hayato's. This is because the personality of the person who touched her also has a direct effect on the new Idaten. She became even more motivated to be strong so she could protect those in need. A few moments later, Hayato arrived and because he was so annoyed with Rin that they had not started to practice again, he punched her. After Barcode completed his survey, he found out who were the other demons that they needed to find. They also gathered information that a burglary had occurred at the mansion of a noble family, and there was a high possibility that Riki had done it. But she also quickly left the mansion with the demon she was with when she escaped. Meanwhile, Nepet managed to eliminate Kureishi's decoy the other day. This demon is asking for help from their friend Jubacho, but since the Zobel Empire has been defeated, he no longer wants to help them. Due to Jibacho's stubbornness, they decided to just kill him and his bodyguards. Using Prantia's power, they found out the Emperor's administrative password. Others could not believe that he could do it even while just sitting on the chair. Escalation came to ask how they were doing with their research into Zobel's documents, and this could potentially be a way for them to track down other demons who escaped. Since they still could not find any demon, Escalation asked Prantia to train Hayato and others. He knows that there is a high possibility that the demons who escaped will become a problem in the future once they fail to catch them, so the Idaten need to get stronger. A few days later, they had information on the whereabouts of Riki and Croft. Riki was unaware that Croft was just using her power. Like Brandy, Riki can also grow her hair long enough to steal money without being noticed. When someone knocked on their door to deliver food, Riki immediately knew it was not a person. It turned out to be Prantia, so Croft quickly dug using his power to escape. Prantia tried to chase them using his speed, but he failed to catch up with them. Meanwhile, in order for Miku's group to hide while doing their job, they victimized a woman who had enough equipment and money that could help them. Miku plans to live quietly until the Idaten have other things to do before they try to contact their demon lord. Even Kuraishi cannot just call to the demon lord. He proved how hard it is when he tried to command the beggar to call. A few years later, Buzz and Miliano had a child who chose to live on the island. But Miliano gave birth to a monster that she named Luce. Because Miliano did not want Buzz to kill it, their child managed to escape. Miliano was so worried, so they went to Zobel to ask Escalation for help. But when Cory arrived, he immediately killed Miliano. Buzz even tried to fight Cory, but he was quickly defeated. Escalation could not believe that Cory was this strong. On the other hand, while in training, Hayato was not very satisfied because he could easily defeat Paula and Gil. Cory decided to fight Hayato, but because of the change in his appearance, Hayato did not recognize him right away. When they started, Cory transformed into his new demon form. So just a few seconds later, Hayato suddenly lost one of his hands. They continued to exchange attacks, and after a while, Hayato's other hand was cut off. Hayato thought Cory trained hard to become this strong, but Cory clarified that he just matured from being a young demon because he is now an adult demon. When Miku saw on TV the monster that was causing trouble in the ocean, she immediately thought that it could be Buzz's or Riki's child. Mika knew that the Idaten would be busy that time, and this was the opportunity she had been waiting for to connect with their demon lord. She managed to do it easily with the robot she bought online. She used the internet and strange words to prove that he was the owner of the blog. After they spoke with Dr. Obami, they began contacting Kuraishi using keywords so that the Idaten could not read them. They used the password of the video game that Furlandia used to play so that Escalation would not notice. Through this, they were able to send a message to Kuraishi to ask him to come to Shimo's Toys. Kuraishi immediately went there and he met with Dr. Obami. He told them their plan, but they decided not to look for Riki because she might end up ruining them all. It turns out she also had a child with Croft, and because they are both demons, they also created a monster like the child of Buzz and Miliano. Even after several years, Rin is still in deep thought and cannot communicate properly. But when she noticed a whale that was suddenly eaten by some creature, she became curious. She immediately went into the sea to look for this creature, but she could not find it. Even Prantia was busy after the monsters appeared in the ocean. They thought of spreading wanted posters for Miku in the hope that it would speed up their search for these demons. So when Miku came out of the hideout, her photos immediately spread across the internet. Prantia immediately moved to go to where she was located, so when Miku entered the mall, the police also moved to surround the area. When Prantia started searching inside, he was surprised that he could not find her. While Paula and Cory were practicing, Rin suddenly attacked Cory, thinking he was an evil monster. Luckily, Paula acted quickly to block his attack. That was when Rin learned that Cory was not an enemy, but she already had a hunch that he was a demon. A few moments later, the others arrived, and because Rin already had so many questions about what was happening, he asked Hayato. Hayato explained everything, and Cory was surprised that his explanation was clear. Rin asked about Dr. Obami because he had memories of his grandfather, but Hayato could not answer her. Since Esli was becoming a big problem for Miku, she decided that he should be the first they needed to get rid of. While Piscalet was taking a bath, he suddenly smelled the poison gas that Esli had used when they fought. He immediately fainted, and that's when Pete came to him. But it turns out this is not the real Pete but Dr. Obami himself. He managed to restore Piscalet's brain, so when Piscalet approached Esli, the Idaten could no longer able to avoid this attack. Dr. Obami entered and Esli immediately recognized him. Then Esli realized that it was the same person who pretended to be Miku and changed faces, which is why a female customer noticed Prantia's presence. Since Rin's former energy had returned, then she continued the training with Hayato. Cory thought that maybe he was not needed in the training anymore, and Piscalet called him just in time to ask him to return to the command center and bring Paula with him. When they arrived at the command center, Piscalet immediately took Paula to Esli's location while Cory was put to sleep by Dr. Obami so that he could easily do something to his brain. When the Idaten finally noticed that Paula and Cory were no longer there, they called the command center but no one answered them. So they just called Prantia, and when Prantia realized that they were no longer connected with the command center, he immediately went there. Just a few moments after he arrived, Dr. Obami immediately bombed his location. But this wasn't enough to kill the Idaten, and that was when Nepa called him because they also could not call Esli and Piscalet. Since Prantia had a hunch that the enemies had already infiltrated them, he quickly went to where they were hiding. Kuraishis began to torture Esli and Paula. But when Cory saw Paula, he felt pity even though his brain had been restored to its former state. When Prantia informed Gil that the enemies might have captured Esli and Paula, Rin quickly moved to find them. Because the enemy's hideout was underground, she could not track them down. This concludes the last episode of the Idaten Deities No Only Peace Season 1. I hope you like it, and give it a thumbs up. Please subscribe to my channel so you won't miss newly uploaded videos. Thank you for supporting this channel.